There's a plant with red stems creeping through the cracks in your driveway that contains more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon, not by weight, per leaf. Humans have been eating it for 4,000 years. It survived the collapse of empires. And in 2022, Yale scientists discovered it does something no other plant on Earth can do, a phenomenon they called a biological impossibility. Yet today, this super plant is classified as a weed. Keep watching to find out why the world's most nutritious plant has been hiding in plain sight. But before we continue, I want to share a small gift. I'm giving away a copy of my best-selling book, Self-Heal. To enter, simply like this video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments why you'd love to win this book. I always enjoy reading your stories. Now, let's get started. The herbicide industry spends billions to make sure its name stays unknown. Back in 1050 BC, someone in northern Greece stored seeds in a clay vessel. When archaeologists opened it 3,000 years later, they found thousands of tiny black seeds, each just 1 millimeter across, the same plant that now grows between the stones outside. By the 7th century BC, the seeds appeared in the Semian Herion, one of ancient Greece's most important sanctuaries. By the 4th century BC, Theophrastus was writing cultivation instructions, telling farmers to plant it in April alongside essential crops. This wasn't a weed, it was food. The Roman Empire grew it across 3 continents. Medieval Europeans ate it at every meal. In 1288, Bonvesan Diareva compiled a list of everything Milan consumed, and this plant wasn't listed as a curiosity, but as a staple. This plant is Purslane portulaca oleracea, the one that solved a nutritional problem scientists didn't know existed and that we were taught to eradicate. After 1492, purslane crossed an ocean. When European settlers documented it in Massachusetts in 1672, archaeologists later found it had already been there for 2,500 years. Seeds discovered in Ontario date to 1350 AD. Seeds in Kentucky go back to 800 BC. Native Americans had cultivated it alongside sunflowers, squash, and chenopod's in the Eastern Agricultural Complex. 2 populations separated by an ocean both considered this plant essential. What did they know? In 1960, physiologist Ansel Keys launched the 7-country study to understand why some populations had almost no heart disease while others were dying at epidemic rates. He followed 12,763 men across 7 countries for 50 years. The results upended expectations. The farmers of Crete consumed some of the highest fat diets in the world, more than 35% of calories from fat. According to every nutritional theory of the time, they should have been dying from heart attacks. Instead, they had the lowest cardiovascular mortality Keys had ever recorded, lower than Japan, lower than Finland, lower than anywhere. For 20 years, scientists credited olive oil, monounsaturated fats, the so-called Mediterranean magic. Then in the 1980s, researchers revisited frozen blood samples from the original study, not to check cholesterol, but to measure omega-3 fatty acids. The Cretans had 3 times the omega-3 levels of the Dutch, but they weren't eating 3 times more fish. They were eating purslane daily, in salads, stews, sautéed in olive oil, fed to chickens and goats. The animals ate purslane, the people ate the animals. The island's entire food system revolved around a plant that grew wild in every field. In 1992, Dr. Artemis Simopoulos analyzed purslane. The results seemed impossible. 300 to 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid per 100 grams of fresh leaves, 5 to 7 times more than spinach, and 15 times more than iceberg lettuce. It was the richest vegetable source of omega-3s ever measured. But there's more. Land plants don't produce EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, a marine omega-3 typically found in fish and algae. Purslane produces it, not a lot, just traces, but enough to astonish scientists. Purslane also contains 7 times more vitamin E than spinach, 6 times more beta-carotene than carrots, and has high levels of melatonin, glutathione, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, making it one of the most nutrient-dense plants ever analyzed. The Lion Diet Heart Study tested whether the creatine diet could save lives. 605 heart attack patients participated. Half followed a standard low-fat cardiac diet. Half followed a Mediterranean diet rich in purslane, walnuts, and omega-3s. After 5 years, the Mediterranean group had 70% fewer deaths. Not just fewer heart attacks, but fewer deaths from all causes. The study was stopped early because continuing the low-fat diet for the control group was deemed unethical. So why isn't purslane in every grocery store? Why do most people still call it a weed? In 2022, Dr. Erica Edwards and her team at Yale published research in Science Advances that rewrote what we thought was possible in photosynthesis. They had been studying purslane because it did something extraordinary. It thrived under extreme drought while growing faster than almost any other plant. Most plants use C3 photosynthesis, which works well when water is plentiful. Corn and sugarcane evolved C4 photosynthesis, which handles heat but still needs water. Desert plants like cacti use CAM photosynthesis. They open pores at night to collect carbon dioxide while it's cool, then close them during the day, limiting water loss but slowing growth. Scientists knew purslane could do both C4 and CAM. They assumed the processes were separated within the leaf. But when the Yale team mapped gene expression across purslane cells, they found both systems operating simultaneously in the same cells, C4 during the day for rapid growth, CAM at night for drought survival. The products of CAM reactions feed directly into the C4 pathway. Edwards said this combination of traits is extremely rare, creating a super plant. No other species on Earth does this. The same enzymes perform different functions at different times within the same cell. It's like discovering a car engine that runs on gasoline and electricity at the same time in the same combustion chamber without switching between them. Purslane can survive on just 1/5 of the water that corn needs. It grows in soil so salty that most crops would wither in days. Each plant produces around 200,000 seeds. And each seed can remain viable in the soil for up to 40 years. Any stem fragment that touches the ground can root and grow into a new plant. You cannot kill it with heat. You cannot kill it with drought. One university study tested solarization, covering soil with plastic to superheat it, and concluded that if purslane dies from this method, everything that could go right has gone right. This is the plant the herbicide industry declared war on. In 2024, the global herbicide market reached $40 billion. Bayer, Syngenta, and Corteva sell products designed specifically to eliminate purslane from lawns, gardens, and agricultural fields. Chemicals like metribuzin, isoxaflutol, indaziflam, and 2,4-D, the same compound developed during World War II and later marketed to American homeowners in 1947, are all used against it. Homeowner associations ban it. Agricultural extension offices release eradication guides. The modern horticulture system treats purslane as a dangerous invader, not because it harms ecosystems, but because it cannot be controlled. You cannot patent purslane. You cannot modify its seeds to make them sterile. You cannot engineer a hybrid that farmers have to buy every year. It has been reproducing freely for 4,000 years, and it will continue to do so no matter what anyone tries. Every other source of omega-3 is a controlled market. Wild fish populations are collapsing. Farmed salmon requires heavy infrastructure. Flaxseed oil goes rancid. Fish oil supplements cost $20 a bottle. Purslane grows for free in nearly every climate where humans live. It produces more omega-3 per acre than any cultivated crop and asks for nothing but sunlight and occasional rain. The plant that could change the way humanity grows food is labeled the world's most common weed. In India, people still eat purslane. They call it kulfa. In Greece, it's glister. In Mexico, verdolagas, often sautéed with garlic and chile. In China, it has been cultivated for thousands of years as machisan. Across Turkey, Iran, and the Middle East, it appears in mezze and summer salads. Half the world never forgot it. The other half was taught to poison it. When climate models predict where crops will fail first, they point to semi-arid regions, areas where rainfall is already limited and decreasing. These are exactly the conditions where purslane thrives. Corn and wheat need 20 to 30 inches of rain per year. Purslane completes its life cycle on just 6 inches. Soybeans stop photosynthesis above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Purslane accelerates. The solution is already here. Learn to recognize purslane. It has thick red stems and succulent paddle-shaped leaves that lie flat on the ground. The stems are smooth, never hairy. When broken, they are juicy, almost translucent inside. Its flowers are tiny and yellow, usually tucked between the leaves. Stop trying to poison it. If it's growing in your garden, let it be. If it's pushing up between your patio stones, eat it instead of spraying it. Harvest it young, within the first 6 weeks while the leaves are tender. Eat it raw in salads for a lemony, slightly salty crunch. Saute it like spinach or blend it into smoothies. Pickle it, stew it, or dry it for winter. Save the seeds. One plant produces hundreds of thousands. Let a few go to seed. Collect them in late summer, and you will have enough to fill a whole garden or share with others. Teach someone else. Every person who learns to recognize purslane is one more person who stops seeing food only as something from a store. One more person who understands that some of the most nutritious plants on earth are often the ones we've been told to destroy. The herbicide industry does not want you to know that the richest source of omega-3 is growing in your driveway. The supplement industry does not want you to know that the $20 bottle they sell is just trying to replicate what purslane provides for free. The agricultural industry does not want you to know that the super plant scientists are trying to engineer already exists. It's called purslane. It has been feeding humans for 4,000 years, and it could be growing in your driveway right now. If this vault opened your eyes, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell. Every like and share helps preserve this knowledge. Thanks for watching.